very, very much. So once again, a very, very warm welcome to all our attendees this morning. I'll just start with introducing myself. My name is Bhavika Thakkar, and I lead sales and alliances for a firm called Aspire Next, which you all so far know us, at least from the invite. And I'm based in Singapore. More importantly, today we have a very exciting next 50 to 55 minutes for all of you who've joined us this morning. And the topic couldn't get more interesting, right? With everybody talking about how do we enable our employees, users to work from not just home, but I think just from anywhere, right? Work from anywhere is, I think, the more appropriate word now. So looking to that as a key focus for our discussion, today what we plan to do is, of course, we have three wonderful speakers, and I'll get to their introduction shortly. But more importantly, we are going to be talking to various aspects of the solution. It is going to be a mix of both business and a technical conversation that we're going to have. So there will be something for each one of you, hopefully. So we will talk about Dell, the solution from VMware, which is very, very focused, and we'll have many more details. Security, another area that cannot be left in isolation. It's very key to the offering that we're talking about, which is on the modern workplace. And so we also have a few minutes dedicated on how security can be integrated and how all of this together can become a very, very interesting solution for all of you and your organizations. We will have a couple of minutes kept for Q&A, but we encourage you to please post your questions as the conversation is going on so that we can take it up through chat or we can answer it online depending on the question. So please do feel free to ask questions as we go along. So that's our exciting speakers and guest speakers in that sense. We have Shwetank Bharti, who is from VMware, and he leads the EUC portfolio, very knowledgeable and has a lot to share on this webinar with all of us today. So thank you and welcome, Shwetank. We also are joined by Clarissa. Clarissa is from Dell. And in our solution package that we're talking about, we are also kind of wanting to showcase how the Dell factory provision laptops come very handy in this. So Clarissa is going to share her thoughts on how this will help each one of you. And last but not the least, we will be having Shahid. Shahid is an Aspire Next employee. He is a specialist on security, and you can see he has a lot of accolades in his favor. And he's going to talk a bit about the security angle. So that's really our esteemed speakers for this morning. And with that, if I may invite Shwetank for you to take over from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhavika. Thanks for the introduction. As mentioned, my name is Shwetank. I'm part of the UC Specialist Sales Organization. And today we're going to be talking about, what the future of modern workforce should look like and how you can best support it going forward. So one of the things that has happened is that the way people work has dramatically shifted, right? In the past, employees often worked at their desks from 9 to 5. Today, employees are increasingly off the network and expect a sort of familiar mobile-like simplicity to their PCs. Consumerization has also forced IT to support EUC environment where users have the choice to bring their own devices to work and sometimes performing personal and corporate tasks on the same device. What this means is that IT really has to rethink how they're going to support this diverse ecosystem of EUC devices, and it's become even more pressing when you consider that PCs are still the way we do work, right? We can check emails, we can quickly connect with people on our mobile phones, but at the end of the day, when we have to manipulate Excel or whatever, or do some corporate work, real hard head down work, we still rely on that personal computer. So what is the challenge, right? Why all of a sudden are we having this conversation? We're having this conversation because the PCLM tools that you are probably using today are really outdated and detached from the reality of today's modern workforce. They were built on client-server technology 25 years or so ago and require, as the devices have proliferated, now you require siloed tools in a large infrastructure. And most of the management still relies heavily on the devices being inside the perimeter. And what that has led to is some of the statistics that you see in front of you. 80% of the post-deployment issues or time spent by IT is actually day two operations, supporting these devices while they're with the employees. The breaches are still coming from the endpoint. They are the main attack surface for bad actors. So you still have to lock them down. But when you talk to flip the coin a little bit and talk to the employees, they're saying, hey, IT is not doing everything that they should to give me the applications that I need to be productive. So, there's IT is trying their level best, fighting this battle, but at the same time, there's a big gap between what they're delivering and what the users expect. So this is probably what your landscape inside your corporate environment looks like, right? You have different types of devices that are accessing the same SaaS applications, virtual applications, or web applications. So they all want to get to the same place. And administrators are applying access controls, compliance policies to these devices using siloed tools, right? So why exactly do you use one tool for BYO? Maybe you use Intune for Windows, and then you use Jamf for Mac devices. I mean, why do you do that? Our proposition is that Workspace ONE can be the one singular tool that you can use as a unified endpoint management platform to manage all the devices inside your ecosystem without sacrificing functionality on any platform, and integrating identity and conditional access seamlessly into the user experience. So, now we've talked about sort of this traditional versus modern way of managing devices, right? So the one that I was harping about, PCLM tools, are what we consider the traditional way of managing. It is like, very resource intensive, relies heavily on control of the user's device. And they really rely on devices coming into the office perimeter and then applying policies, patching, etc., getting reporting even. It is heavily reliant on them coming inside the office or organization. While modern management, on the other hand, is similar to the experience that you would get when you buy a new iOS or an Android device. You just log in with your Apple ID or Google credentials, and everything gets provisioned from the cloud. You download whatever apps you need to be productive, and as long as they show up, you're good to go. It doesn't mean that it's less secure. It just means that the updates are coming from a different source, from the cloud directly to your machine, no matter where you might be. So this is the same sort of paradigm that we want to enable on PCs as well. And now with Windows being re-architected to be a mobile-first platform, this is actually possible. So the idea, keep this idea in your mind, that we want the users to be ready in a matter of minutes rather than IT spending a lot of time imaging, installing, patching the device. And this has a direct impact to the cost as well, right? So here, as an illustration, you can see, what the traditional way of management looks like. It takes into account various siloed tools that you might have. So each of those tools have a cost associated with it. You take that into account. Then you take into account all the time that after the device gets shipped to your office, the IT spends 4 or 5 hours imaging it, patching it, installing the appropriate applications, etc. Let's say that's 4 hours of work at $40 an hour for the IT staff. That's $360, right? So you want to minimize this effort. You want to get cost efficiency out of it. And what we have with Workspace ONE is exactly that: breaking down the silos, using Workspace ONE as the singular tool to manage all of your devices, making sure that the devices are ready day one with the end user of the device, and they can be productive instead of you imaging, etc. So in short, what we end up with is industry-leading modern management platform that brings together this approach where device context and intelligence comes together to deliver a unique user experience. And it does not ignore the traditional PCLM type functionality either, be it patching, Windows 32 applications, compliance, or anything else. You can still leverage all of that. You can still deliver that capability. You have this additional modern way of delivering this experience. So end users end up with the flexibility to support any type of device that might fit their use case. Administrators have granular control and compliance anywhere from the firmware of the device all the way to the application. And for IT administrators, their job gets easier because they can automate many of the routine tasks that are traditionally time consuming, like application updates or patching. So, these are all the different capabilities. This slide has got a lot of content on it, but what you see on the top as the 5 main categories of things that you need to do to effectively manage a PC. And we will talk about a little bit of what our capabilities are in all of these different sort of silos or different paths, if you will. Let's look at onboarding first of all, right? Zero touch IT. So out of the box PC setup, only UEM apps with which are preloaded in the factory without any imaging are already on the device. It saves costs and delivers day one user productivity. Configuration, it is all cloud powered. So all the policies from silicon to software is all delivered over the air. BIOS configuration, and if you have any sort of GPOs that you've invested in or baselines that you want to integrate, that capability is available. Patching, always up-to-date patching powered by Workspace ONE Intelligence. We are the only UEM with CVE integration and update automation. So PCs are protected in real time from high severity exploits. Let's get into security a little bit more. We're the only UEM that has full encryption lifestyle management as well. So you don't have to get another tool to manage your BitLocker keys. It's actually part of Workspace ONE as it is. And lastly, if you're looking at retiring or restoring the device, the user or the administrator can easily wipe the PC to remove sensitive information. The users can self-serve them as well from a portal. And we are the only UEM that features zero-touch restore for IT that recovers PC with factory and user provision apps. So I've used a lot of big words, made a lot of big claims, said we are the only UEM for this and that. But don't take my word for it. Later on in the presentation, there'll be some slides that will cover how we are the recognized UEM leader by almost all the analysts, Gartner, Forrester, IDC, Radicati, and more. So with that, that's sort of an overview of what Workspace ONE can deliver, anywhere from provisioning the device all the way to retirement. One of the key things that we can deliver is out-of-the-box provisioning with our friends at Dell. So I'd like to now hand over to Clarissa, who's going to talk more about out-of-the-box provisioning and how that works well with Workspace ONE. Over to you, Clarissa.
Thank you, Swetang. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, good. Thank you, Swetang. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Clarissa Fong. I'm the Services Channel Sales Executive from Dell Technologies. Today, I'm going to share with you about Dell Modern Provisioning and Dell's for Workspace ONE and Dell's ProSupport suite for Dell's PC support. So you may be wondering what is Dell's Modern Provisioning for Workspace ONE. Let's watch this video to find out more.
The days of deployment delays are over. Introducing ProDeploy in the Unified Workspace from Dell Technologies, a virtual revolution in IT deployment. By integrating factory and cloud, we're the first OEM to provision applications with VMware Workspace ONE in the factory. Then we ship your systems, ready to go, directly to your employees. Anywhere, everywhere. What does that mean for you? There's no provisioning, no imaging, no installation, no configuration, no problem. You'll save up to nearly a week of IT time per 1,000 devices deployed and experience a whole new level of productivity. Low touch means no downtime, so your people can hit the ground running and you can focus on what's next. This is how deployment gets done with the power of Dell Technologies. Let's make it real.
It's really cool, right? Let's share with you more about how it works. Now, let me start with talking about traditional deployment methodology. As you might be aware, Traditional methods for provisioning and deploying end-user devices can present real headaches to IT staff as well as your businesses in general. Though deploying a single system may not be a complex task, however, with limited staff and hardware resources, can make larger deployment a challenge to deploy quickly. And these problems are compounded by a few other issues. Number one, multiple staging stations. Now, real estate staffing and manpower and power can be costly, and multiple shipping legs are inherently expensive. Number two, incomplete deployment. Now, IT departments only do part of the deployment, and individual applications still need to be loaded by the user. Have you ever experienced when you join a new company, you spend a few hours or even to a day to set up your system, and this can be very daunting to someone that is not very tech savvy. And number three, a decentralized workforce. Now, not everyone in the company works in the office. Some of us may be working in remote locations, some of us in the branches, some of us are teleworkers. And with COVID-19, many companies have implemented work from home arrangement. And this will make it probably more difficult for IT to help set up a user who is not at his so-called desk, right? How about end user downtime and disruptions? Can the users be without a system for about 4 to 8 hours for the setup? Now, Dell Provisioning for Workspace ONE have solved all your problems. With Dell Provisioning for VMware Workspace ONE, you can streamline your PC deployment and be empowered to rapidly deploy fully configured and customized systems by drastically reducing device setup time and streamlining your application device across the organization. Now, with legacy PC deployment, the end user will have to wait for the distributor, the integrator, as well as the IT to take actions prior to deploying and using a new device. With Dell Provisioning for Workspace ONE, organizations are able to put ready-to-use devices directly into the hands of their employees by fully provisioning the devices in the factory or in the cloud as needed by using Dell configuration services. As a result, you can reduce the reduce the time required to unbox and provision devices, by 1 week for every 1,000 systems. You can deliver the core applications in 10 minutes instead of hours, and you can get the devices up and running up to 80% more quickly. So you may be wondering what's the concept for modern provisioning. And it is that you have a UEM solution. And in this case, we are using VMware Workspace ONE. What we then do is to have the factory build the initial build and then ship to the end user directly. And there's no IT in between for any second touch. Applications, security settings, and system policies are then pushed down to the end user PC over the air automatically. As a result, users can be productive on day one, and IT can focus on important projects and probably support to users that are in need much quicker. What used to take hours can now be done in minutes, and we automate and expedite the PC provisioning process to yield an extremely low-touch deployment and instant productivity. By installing a provisioning package, we call the PPKG file, in the factory and shipping it directly to the end users, we reduce network dependencies and accelerate the overall deployment process. As a result, you will have a generic image free of unauthorized software, simple out-of-the-box setup process, and post-deployment management with Workspace ONE ensures firmware, drivers, OS, policy, and applications are up to date after the users powers on the device. Now, Dell Provisioning for Workspace ONE dramatically reduces the amount of time IT spends on staging the devices and minimizes end-user downtime. VMware has implemented Dell Provisioning for Workspace ONE for configuration and deployment, and users are up and running in about 5 to 8 minutes because the software is already configured. So you may be wondering what's the process for instant productivity. Number one, organization sends a baseline of applications and a configuration file, which is a PPKG file, to Dell to load onto the system in the factory. And Dell looks and generate Windows 10 image free of unauthorized software and the customer's PPKG file onto the system. Now then Dell will ship the configured setup systems directly to the end user. And the end user powers on the device and logs in with his company's single sign-on credentials. Once Dell device is power on, VMware Workspace ONE applies any last mile setting or any user specific applications and provides user with a unified catalog of SaaS applications so that they can choose any additional application to download that they may need. Now, if IT needs to perform a PC reset or recovery, the zero-touch restore functionality allows applications and management to persist, minimizing user downtime. Workspace ONE then keeps the application, firmware, and OS all up to date. Now, I would like to share with you a demo on the user experience when he first power on his PC with Dell Provisioning for Workspace ONE. So user powers on the device and he connects to the network. And then he will log in with his corporate domain, credential. So now he's logging in now. Okay. And then Workspace ONE would then dynamically configure all the corporate policies, removes any bloatware, install all provision Win32 applications, and applies security settings over the air in minutes based on the user's role in the organization. So now the user is logged in. And then he can access the Workspace ONE application catalog for single sign-on access into any Win32 SaaS or virtual application that he may need. Now, Workspace ONE also allows users to download additional application, reset password, or to find BitLocker, recovery, and more self-service options available, removing the need for users to contact the help desk. After he logs out, the account is created. It's really cool, right? And when I joined Dell, we also use Workspace ONE and Dell Provision for Workspace ONE, and it's really fantastic, the experience. It takes just minutes for me to set up my system when I just joined that. How do you like it? Okay, now let me switch gear to talk about how Dell can support your end user PCs. As you might be aware, base warranty only covers hardware. And if a system encounters an issue that requires repair, he will have to return the system to Dell EMC for service covered by their warranty. And I'm pleased to share with you that Dell ProSupport for PC have you covered with 24/7 access to our ProSupport engineers, on-site repairs on the next business day, and automated proactive issue resolution. If you require the same-day response from Dell, you may uplift to 24/7 4-hour response time. Now, ProSupport uses our support tool, Support Assist, to proactively identify any existing issues and immediately, automatically, open the tickets, dispatch the parts and label, and quickly get the customers back to working at full speed. Now, this allows us to fix the issue before the issue becomes a problem. If your users are high-value users, you may wish to consider ProSupport Plus for PC. So what does it include? It includes all the features and benefits of ProSupport, and as well as other features such as keep your hard drive service, accidental damage service, and the predictive technology that virtually eliminates any unplanned downtime. ProSupport Plus uses Support Assist predictive technology to alert customers and Dell before a developing issue turns into a problem. And hence, we can resolve the issue and virtually eliminate your customers' unplanned downtime. If I'm not wrong, today Dell is the only PC vendor that is able to provide this feature. Let me talk about keep your hard drive. Maybe it speaks for itself in many ways. The benefits of keep a hard drive include security and compliance, as sensitive data is always in your control. Keep a hard drive can also help companies comply with GDPR requirements as well as HIPAA requirements. Accidental damage is included also in ProSupport Plus. It covers drops, spills, and surges. Accidental damage covers accidents that happen in the office or on the go. And this gives IT administrators a peace of mind knowing that there's no out-of-budget cycle repair investment is required. Now, most importantly, accidental damage prolongs the life of your IT investment, and it covers one incident per year per system. Now, Dell ProSupport and ProSupport Plus for PC are powered by our support tools TechDirect as well as Support Assist. This slide shows you the feature comparison between basic support, which only cover the hardware, ProSupport, as well as ProSupport Plus for PCs. You may wish to know that Support Assist technology has been tested by a third-party company against our competitors, and ProSupport with Support Assist actually resolved issues up to 11 times faster than the competition with up to 13 fewer steps. So you may be wondering, how does Support Assist work? Now, Support Assist is actually a smarter way to get resolution, and the key benefit is expedited issue resolution. Now, the white box at the bottom of the slide shows the traditional support and the many manual steps that it requires you to get resolution after a fault has occurred. Now, the gray box, at the top represents the path to resolution with Support Assist. Proactive automated support is used. You can see the steps are reduced by almost half with proactive resolution. When a fault occurs, a support request is automatically created and Dell proactively contacts you about the resolution. So with Support Assist, you no longer need to identify a fault when it occurs. You don't need to locate a service tag. You don't have to remember your service contract details. You don't have to find our tech support phone number and then call our tech support engineers and then describe the issue and get the system log and send to the system log to Dell. All these will not be necessary. ProSupport with Support Assist reduce the steps to resolution and shorten the time required for problem resolution. One of the main questions that our customers ask is around data security and privacy. So let me just talk about this now. I want to assure you that personal and business data are not collected. Support Assist collects system state information, including configuration information, events logs, notification, and diagnostic information. And number two, you are in control. Why do I say that? Because customer must authorize the collection of system state and software inventory information before this can be used for diagnosis as well as troubleshooting. And number three, your system state information is safe because system state information is protected during transport and storage. During transport, the information is encrypted and communication is only allowed to go one way, that is from you to Dell. Additionally, the device usage and login credentials are never collected. Now, during storage, supplied proxy credentials are encrypted and never leave your site. An added layer of safety is provided with our Dell My Accounts anti-forgery mechanism. In order to use Support Assist, you need to enable it and have it set up. You may follow the information provided in this URL to set it up. And if you need any assistance during your setup, you may contact Dell Tech Support. Now, this is the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for your attention, and I will pass it back to Sui Tang. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Clarissa. I really appreciate that insight. Hopefully everybody understands how Dell Factory Provisioning works and how we can deliver out-of-box experience for end users. So now, out of the 5 stages that I was talking about a bit earlier, we've gone through the first stage where you can effectively deliver a computing device to the end user, and they can start using it, being productive. They have the application that they need. They can self-serve application that they might not have. But how do you take it forward from there? Most of the expense, as I mentioned right at the beginning of my presentation, is around day 2 management of these endpoints. So we're going to talk about how Workspace ONE can deliver cloud-based management for your Windows 10 devices, and some of the tools like Assist that we have as part of our portfolio that enables IT administrators to effectively diagnose and troubleshoot problems as they happen in the field. So let's unpack the onion a little bit, try and give you an idea of how exactly Workspace ONE is constructed. What are the different technologies that we use to deliver this holistic management of Windows 10 devices? The very first part that you see at the bottom is the modern MDM profile, which we leverage the capabilities that are built in the operating system itself. Now, all these modern operating systems now have taken away some of the guesswork, and all the UEMs offer these capabilities, these standard capabilities that Microsoft, Apple, and Android make available. So that's your baseline MDM profile layer. On top of that, we have the capability of you leveraging your existing GPO investment that you might have made, baselines, etc. So that is sort of your traditional PCLM tool sort of area where you can add on top of the MDM profile that we just talked about. So that gives you the traditional as well as modern sort of capability. And then on top of that, we have these additional capabilities such as BIOS and firmware view that allow you to really control the whole device. So imagine a scenario where somebody, there was a vulnerability detected on the BIOS, somebody hacked the BIOS. At that point in time, the endpoint would actually notify Workspace ONE saying, hey, the BIOS has been tampered with, and then you can apply maybe a quarantine or a less secure sort of profile. Or after the BIOS, if the BIOS test passes, for example, you can look at the operating system and do an attestation on that and make sure that that has not been altered since the last time we booted up. So you really, with all these 3 sort of stacked components, you get very good visibility all the way from silicon to the application on the endpoint. So now the user is productive, right? You've got this comprehensive stack of management that's available for your endpoints. Still the main problem exists, which is patching, right? We've all been through, a mandatory patch, high severity patch being delivered to your endpoint right in the middle of a presentation, and you see the blue circle of death suddenly show up. So how exactly do we manage that or mitigate that, right? So with us, the customers can defer the patches based on the company policy and risk profile. So if something has not been identified as critical or something that the administrator does not force you to install, you can defer that as long as you want. Also, from the administrator standpoint, if today Microsoft releases something that is classified as critical, you don't have to go through this approval process. You could say anything that comes out of Microsoft with a critical patch label has to be pushed down to the endpoints immediately. And then you can obviously attach, hey, you can maybe defer the deployment 3 times or 5 times, but not more than that. And then when the user actually does want to do the patching of their endpoint, they don't have to see exactly which patches are being installed or what exactly is being done. It is completely up to the IT administrator to determine whether they want the user to have this information or not. Should they choose to do so, they can actually manually approve certain patches as well to be deployed to their endpoints. So let's look at a scenario where maybe a device is out of compliance, right? So the agent that is installed on the endpoint detects that there's a security vulnerability. It then says, okay, there's an automatic remediation process that gets triggered. And then based on whatever the IT administrator has configured, they could completely quarantine the device, remove network connectivity, remove sensitive information, or they could just inform the user. And then maybe just the sensitive information is removed, but they can still get access to their email. So I'll give you an example. Dumb sales guy, they can still operate their email. They probably go to 10 different sites on a daily basis. Something went out of compliance, but they can still at least access their email. However, an accountant who has access to financial information, if their device goes out of compliance, you might want to remove access to the corporate VPN network completely, remove or enterprise wipe any sensitive data they might have, so on and so forth. So it is very context and user driven. And once the device goes back into compliance, the user is notified, and then all the access is restored. So I'll actually walk you through a demonstration here, which will illustrate exactly that. So there was a notification on the bottom right notifying that your endpoint might be non-compliant. The user chooses to ignore it. They have an update that's available to them, but they're like, I'll do it at some later point. In the meantime, Workspace ONE has already revoked access to certain sensitive information. As you can see here, access denied. So now it's an impact to the user. The user like, okay, yeah, maybe that is the reason why my access has been revoked. Let me go and do the update. The good thing here that you see is that they don't get information about what exactly the update is, how long, what the KB numbers are, etc. Once the update is installed, the user is notified by that window shade that you saw on the bottom right, and now they can continue accessing the application that they need to get to. So it's as easy as that, right? You don't have to proactively take action unless there is something that blocks you, that is delivered to you, or a risking that has been applied to you by the IT department, and you can go on resume work as soon as you've remediated that endpoint. So what does this entail, right? Why are we doing this? Sure, it gives a better user experience. They don't have to call the IT staff and say, hey, what's going on? Why am I suddenly locked out? They actually are notified by the agent itself. But for the IT administrator, there are a lot of these tasks that have been automated, right? Anything related with patching is automated. Similarly, you can apply this to applications as well. So at the end of the day, this means anything from 2.5 hours per endpoint, or 5,000 plus hours for 2,000 employee company, which is a significant saving. If you just save that amount of time for the IT administrator, I'm sure our solution would just pay for itself and for the Dell laptops. So what do we have here, right? At the end of the day, there's definitely a speed benefit, right? You have cost effectiveness because the updates are coming down from the cloud. You obviously have a lot more scalability as well. So another capability that we have that can be leveraged for patch deployment as well as application deployment is P2P technology. So similar to the P2P software they used to use back in the day, instead of downloading from a central repository or a Microsoft server, the very first machine that gets the patch or the application actually becomes the server for any machines that are next to it. So it delivers a very good user experience. They don't have to wait forever for the patching to finish or the application to download, which in some cases can be in a few gigabytes, right? Now all the patching can come directly to the endpoint or from an adjacent endpoint. So really minimizes the speed and delivers a lot of scale. At the end of the day, what does the user see, right? Right at the beginning of the presentation, we talked about in our survey of the users, they said 76% of them were not happy with what IT was delivering to them, or they did not have the applications that they needed to be productive. So user experience is extremely important, and there are a number of things that we can do now that delivers them a very good user experience. For example, right, Clarissa was talking about firmware updates. So now when a firmware is outdated, it can be installed by Workspace ONE. So they don't have to do this themselves, or they don't have to flag the device as non-compliant. It could just be a notification and could just happen in the background. The next time when they restart, the firmware is upgraded, the BIOS attestation passes, and they're good to go. Let's look at operating system and application stability. When an OS and an application update causes issues, you can just roll it back. We have this thing called Flight Recorder that records all the events that were leading up to the operating system or application crashing. And that's a huge advantage. Now, if suddenly in the morning the app developer realizes the update that I pushed out is crashing on 70% of the devices, it's better he just roll it back. And this kind of information is available to him so that next time when he fixes that application, he does not have the same bugs or same sort of issues. When a component of the device, for example, the CPU or the RAM needs upgrading, again, Clarissa was talking about this in the Dell ProSupport section, it provides insights to the Dell side of things so that they realize, okay, this is the hardware that is failing, and let's proactively order it and deliver it to the endpoint without the user even realizing that could be a problem coming for them in the future. Similarly, the Dell optimizer bit, right, that Clarissa was talking about, where if they suddenly realize that you're a power user, you use a lot of CPU, but you only have an i5, maybe you should be an i7, this information can be effectively delivered through the Dell optimizer, and then administrator can take proactive steps rather than reacting to a disgruntled user who might be experiencing frustration, etc. So, there are a number of things that we can do to improve the user experience. Anything from actual experience with the hardware all the way to environment friendly matters as well. So we can actually provide sustainability information about what percentage of your endpoint that you're using is sustainably sourced, what sort of peak energy loads you're looking at, and if we need to optimize it to manage the health of the grid as well. All of this while maintaining a good connection with the end user, keeping them aware of what's happening with their endpoint and getting feedback from them on a regular basis. So now we've looked at provisioning, we've looked at delivering patches, delivering applications, or part of the day to support. Another tool that we have here is called Workspace ONE Assist. Now, this is the capability for administrators to take control of the device as though it was in their hands. So, gone are the days where we were sitting inside the same office and we walk up a flight of stairs and we can get to the IT guy and ask him the question directly. We're not with them anymore, we're working from home. So if I cannot find the application that IT guy promised he delivered to my endpoint, what do I do? So this is a tool that will help administrators quickly log into the device, see exactly what's happening while the user is present, and then help them with their issue. It's basically remote control for your device. So here's a demonstration of that. On the left, you have the administration console for Workspace ONE. So they can see all the information about the device, what networks it's connected to, what application it has, etc. They have identified that, yes, genuinely there is a problem with the network, with the endpoint. So they have options of starting a screen share, maybe just looking at the files, or starting a remote terminal session. So they choose to start a remote screen share. In this case, maybe they're on a call with the end user. So once the session is being initiated over any TCP/IP based connection, they can provide them with this code. So that sort of authenticates that yes, the end user is aware that you're about to take control of their device. They enter that code, and now it gets into maybe a view only session to begin with. So now they're able to see, okay, what's going on. Maybe the user can direct them, hey, this is the problem that I'm facing. There's a PDF on my desktop that's not launching the way I want it to. So the administrator realizes, hey, I actually need remote control for this. So they can actually request that. So the user is again getting prompted that, hey, administrator wants to control your device. Do you allow? So now it allows for input injection. Now, obviously, they can interact with it as though it's right next to them. They can, disable dialog boxes. In this case, PDF association is with the browser as opposed to Adobe. So they make that correction and they're good to go. There's obviously capabilities that you can take screenshots, you can record video for training purposes, et cetera, et cetera. And all of this can be performed over any TCP/IP based connection. So it doesn't have to be right next to you. You could be on the other side of the world, and administrator is still able to deliver very effective remediation. And there's no need for the end user not to be productive, right? So here's another example of a tool that we have made available to make administrators' life a lot easier going forward. Help with the day two operations of the enterprise. So with that, it's the end of my segment of presentation. What we have gone through is provisioning the device, making sure that the user is productive from day one, leveraging Dell's factory provisioning, how we assist with cloud-based management for the IT administrator, and then should there be a genuine problem, be able to help the end user with tools like Remote Assist. I would like to now hand over to Shahid, who's going to cover the security aspect of the solution. Over to you, Shahid.
Thank you, Shatank. Let me share my screen first. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Shahid and I lead the security practice for Aspire Next. And I'll just come to the point. So the whole idea is I'm here to answer a simple yet confusing question nowadays, that how do we secure our digital workspace beyond the corporate boundaries with the new norm, right? So remote working is the reality for many organizations around the world now, not to mention that it was steadily gaining pace prior to this. It's just that it has accelerated now. So beyond its ability to keep employees safe and healthy, remote working has some potential to give people and organizations as a whole some more flexibility, a chance to save some money maybe, and probably better productivity, obviously, if approached and planned properly. But everything comes at a cost, right? So in this case, it's primarily the introduction of several security risks, and new security threats are surfacing. Some old ones are being brought back by the attackers, thus making us more vulnerable than ever. So coming to remote working, essentially, it implies that extending the boundaries, right? Extending the boundaries of the organizations to the internet, which means literally everywhere. Thus, the organization's assets are at risk than never before. So the boundaries between the work and the private life have diminished, and businesses are being done over home ISPs, home routers, personal devices, right? You name them. There are so many vectors that can be exploited by an attacker in the current scenario, thus extending the threat landscape, as you said, which means that the traditional security measures can't protect this work environment without rethinking the approach to security, and obviously with some improvisation and essentially disruption. So the need for security in the workspace has been changed by this remote reality, right? We know that. So organizations lack visibility into their endpoints, without which they're just flying blind against the attacks that threaten their workloads. So they still depend on their legacy antivirus solutions, which cannot help, or maybe only help to have a limited help in the prevention, detection, and response of attacks like ransomware, like some other non-malware attacks. So it's not surprising that malicious actors are taking advantage of this new reality. They are just targeting the way employees connect to their workplaces from their homes. So they are increasing their use of social engineering and phishing campaigns, denial of service attacks, exploiting the vulnerabilities of the home devices, as I said. So attackers go essentially where the open surface is. So as once the famous bank robber was asked that, why did he rob banks? So he replied that, because that's where the money is, correct? So that is how it is for attackers. So wherever there is an open surface, they will go there. So in this context, security is fundamentally broken. In terms of quantity and change, obviously breaches are rising exponentially. At the same time, number of products and agents are increasing the complexity of the security. So obviously this is a concern. So how do we shift the advantage from the attackers to the defenders to protect our business? So many customers have hundreds of different security tools deployed in their environments. All the teams are prevented from working together by the sheer number of isolated products they need to manage and configure. So in contrast, the attackers can move easily from stealing user credentials to running commands on any endpoint, move literally everywhere within the network, or either cloud or anywhere, literally. So too many tools lead to growing complexity and dozens of different configurations to maintain. This causes primarily visibility gaps across the enterprise and makes it more difficult to understand how to secure the systems the customers need to protect, right? But the other problem is lack of valuable context, which causes detection gaps for anything beyond known malware, because normal can't be defined in that case, right? So, and all of this silos the security and IT teams who need to work together to truly secure the organization. So the three main obstacles which I pointed out are that prevent the legacy security from being truly effective and have created many customer challenges are primarily security is too siloed and disparate. It's hard to obtain a bigger picture for better visibility. The next is the security is too focused on the threats. Right, it leads to the teams being drowned in alerts, and as security lacks clear data to prioritize and make decisions confidently. So the final obstacle is the security is bolted on at the moment. Complexity is the enemy of security in this case. Complexity is escalated as attackers can continue to exploit systems even after malware removal. Right, the more tools you use, the more doors that are left open for the attackers to be exploited. So obviously this needs transformation. So we need to move away from these silos to a unified approach where technologies work together and teams share the single truth. We need to take a threat-centric expertise and apply it to the context-centric approach of understanding the good to better secure it, right? So, and we need to move away from bolted-on security to delivering the built-in security to the foundation of the infrastructure that's being secured. So that is where the VMware comes into picture. VMware offers all these solutions within the solution. So coming to Carbon Black, it provides the ability for organizations to stay one step ahead of the known new threats, accelerate investigations, and respond confidently, and obviously operate faster and more efficiently, as was even as its case with the whole Workspace ONE portfolio discussed by Shwetank, right? So during the first 3 stages of the kill chain, organizations have no control over what the hacker is going to do, right? The sphere of control is at the next 3 phases of the kill chain, which is the exploitation, installation, and the command and control phase. In other words, our sphere of control is not in the prevention phase, but in the combat phase. So as discussed earlier, the legacy approach are what VMware is looking to replace by transforming to an approach that is unified, context-centric, and built-in. So VMware Carbon Black helps us to achieve this. Too many, as we know, that the reason being too many tools drive drive complexities, misconfigurations, visibility gaps, detection gaps, you name them. So Workspace ONE Assist it has already been discussed by Shwetank. So I'll just briefly put it out what it is exactly. So it's just a fully integrated remote support solution from Workspace ONE portfolio that enables organizations to deliver quality IT support and obviously maximize their end user computing investments, while obviously mitigating lost revenue, productivity, and decreased employee satisfaction. So Workspace ONE Assist empowers IT and help desk staff to remote view or control Android, iOS, Mac OS, and Windows devices directly from the Workspace ONE console, while maintaining employee privacy and trust, obviously. So Carbon Black's security can be leveraged in this case as well to protect, detect, and remediate threats to these remote endpoints. Coming to integrations, VMware Carbon Black portfolio of products provides organizations with intrinsic security that best meets their needs, from cloud-native solutions to on-premises protection, with a variety of options that enables the packaging of the ideal combination of solutions to help them protect their businesses. So there are essentially 3 flavors of Carbon Black, that is standard, advanced, and enterprise, and they are incremental in nature. What I mean by that is whatever is in standard it'll be there in advanced with some additional features. Whatever is there in advanced, it'll be there in enterprise with some additional features. So VMware is in a unique position to serve as the foundation and bring the right camera angles to each of the 5 key control points with respect to security, obviously, identity, network, cloud, workload, and endpoint. That's what. So Workspace Security now includes integrations with Workspace ONE and Horizon. Obviously, that's where Workspace Security comes into picture. VMware has a unique presence to turn points of vulnerability into points of security control because of the footprint in these areas. It enables unique capabilities for security. Now, with Carbon Black, it just levels it up, the security capability from one of the leading next generation antivirus and EDR solutions in the market. So what I want to point out here is Workspace ONE Intelligence. So Workspace ONE managing complexity in security without compromising the user experience is one of the key benefits of Workspace ONE Intelligence. So other major benefit is optimizing the resources based on the monitored data. It can automatically detect and remediate security vulnerabilities in real time, as was discussed by Shwetank earlier, right? So it was shown in the demo. So we can avail conditional access and granular compliance policies to protect company data and ensure a hands-free instant remediation against modern-day security threats. Essentially, it aggregates and correlates data from multiple sources to give more visibility. These insights, obviously, and data helps in making better decisions. So the built-in automation engine can be configured to take most of these decisions automatically. It leverages essentially machine learning to deliver continuous verification with risk analytics and behavioral monitoring. So I'll just walk you through one demo of how Workspace ONE works. And let me play the video. Okay, let's go to our enrolled device. This is an enrolled device, which is compliant and able to access the internet site. If you can see, we are able to access the internet site, right? This device has also a Carbon Black sensor running in the background. Now take an example, this machine is running a malicious application. For this demo, we have flagged this application as malicious. You'll see immediately Carbon Black has detected and blocked the application. So now if we go to the Workspace ONE Intelligence Console, we see that we have an automation rule that says if the malicious app is running, remove the VPN profile. Here you go. So going back to the device, if we go and try to access the internet site again, the site can't be reached anymore. So that's how easy it is and how effective it is. So, okay. So nowadays, the perimeter is boundaryless, as we all know, as the workforce is spanned globally. Therefore, the organizations must take a zero trust approach most of the times. So VMware is disrupting the security industry by making security intrinsic from the endpoint to the cloud. So VMware leverages the customer's organizational infrastructure across any app, any cloud, and any device to provide unique capabilities to secure the customer's businesses. So when it comes to how VMware is going to deliver on this vision of intrinsic security, it is with the security technology they already have. The InfoSec team uses carbon black technology to protect the endpoints and workloads across the enterprise. Desktop services team uses Workspace ONE to ensure only trusted devices and users access the company resources. Network team uses NSX to detect malicious traffic and ensure appropriate segmentation protects resources. And the cloud team uses secure state-hardened public cloud infrastructure against compromise. And installing and managing the endpoint management and endpoint security as a single process from a single vendor, this disrupts the complexity as a whole. Coming to compliance and risk analytics, the solution has the capability to apply machine learning to identify anomalies and analyze user behavior for compliance and risk analytics. And consider a user John Doe with multiple devices and with different usage and risk scoring for all his devices, say Android OS, right? So in this case, the risk score is low as the user is not deviating from any of the configured policies. Coming to the iPad, in this case, the risk score for the device is medium as the user accumulates the apps without considering their security reputation. Considering the Mac OS, in this case as well, the risk score is medium as the user keeps delaying the software patches or updates. And coming to the Windows 10 device, in this case, the risk score is high as the user has disabled the firewall and antivirus to enhance the device performance. So as a whole, based on this, the user score can be notified, say, for example, medium for this John Doe. Now, based on this risk score, we can take decisions. So let me walk you through one more demo in this case. Here, there's one user wherein the risk score is low, so he's able to access everything. So now, if there's another user and some suspicious activity is detected, the user will be prompted for MFA using a VMware Verify, since the risk score has jumped, right, to medium for this user. So finally, if the user is at high risk, the access will be blocked. Oh, I guess it's just going through same. So what happens in the final case is that if the user is at high risk, the access will be blocked for that user. So based on the risk scoring of the user, the access can be given. So rolling out Windows 10 devices for remote workforce with workspace security facilitates various processes for the clients as discussed by Clarissa earlier, right? Modern management is not merely about UEM or consolidation solutions for mobile and desktop management. It goes well beyond that, as we all know till now, right? So by modern management, we mean an integrated platform that brings UEM across platforms, apps and access experience, zero trust security, modern day intelligence and automation. It's about a cohesive platform that empowers IT transformation, focusing on experience and security that's cost effective and business centric in nature. So let's see how analysts see the workspace security solution from a well-known ranking provider, Forrester. So VMware was named as a leader in the Forrester Wave Unified Endpoint Management Q4 of 2019. So VMware was a top-ranked solution in current offering and overall strategy categories. VMware got the highest possible score in product roadmap execution, and partner ecosystem criteria. They also acquired the highest possible score across entire market presence category, which includes customer count, Windows 10 customer count, devices under management, and revenue criteria. So coming to Gartner, in the Gartner capability ranking, VMware received the highest score in the compliance-driven management and enterprise management and role-based device management use cases. Moreover, VMware also received the second highest score in the unmanaged bring your own devices use cases, which is pretty good, right? So in essence, security is like never finished, right? Because the opponent is never finished. Cyber criminals are endlessly innovative and adaptive. And we have to take the same approach and use this as the chance to innovate and adapt. As someone has rightly said, that never let a good crisis go to waste, as this provides us with an opportunity to go beyond our normal capabilities to deliver. We all have to remember that security is not merely a destination. It's just a never-ending journey, which we must plan for, and sooner or later, we have to start that journey. So of course, sooner is better, as prevention is better than cure. And Aspire Next, as system integrators, can help the organizations to plan and start that journey, and obviously walk you through the whole way. So I'll just now pass it on to Bhavika to discuss on the next steps. Back to you, Bhavika.
Hey, Shahid, thank you very much. And I know we've already come towards the end of the call. But having said that, we do want to leave each one of you with a little kind of offer that we are running as a special promotion. One, of course, we're going to be sharing the content, and I know we had questions on that. But more importantly, please do drop us an email on sales@aspirenext.com. We've put that also in the chat bot, in the chat message. We will like to see if we can individually, sit down and understand what are your organizational, challenges. Is there something we can work around with Dell plus the VMware and Aspire Next, try combination. So we are happy to, get some consulting hours. We could also look at doing a security audit for your firms. So just reach out to us, because there are ways we can engage. And that is pretty much what we want to leave each one of you with. In case anybody has any question that you want to take it up on voice right now, I know we did answer everything on the chat, on the Q&A chat. Okay, if not hearing any more questions, I think we are going to thank each one of you for your time today. And thank you all the speakers, Shwetank, Clarissa, and Shahid, for giving such an in-depth understanding of the solution. So thank you each and every one of us. Have a good day ahead, and thank you.